On December 10, 1948, the United Nations General Assembly approved and proclaimed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. To name a few: the right to life, the right to individual liberty, and the right to self-determination. This thesis has been developed precisely from one of these fundamental rights, the right to a fair process. But what does fair process mean? Article 111 of the Italian Constitution reads, and I quote in part, "Every trial shall be held in adversarial proceedings between the parties on equal terms before an impartial judge. In criminal trials, the law shall ensure that the person accused of a crime is informed of the nature and grounds of the charge raised against him, is given the necessary time and conditions to prepare his defense, and is assisted by an interpreter if he does not understand or speak the language used in the trial." A trial is about words that have great power and are capable of changing a person's life. Every alloglot subjected to legal proceedings has the right to adequate language assistance, which is not limited to providing an interpreter and/or a translator to the alloglot defendant or victim, but considers many other aspects such as the nature of legal language itself, the manner in which the process is conducted, the principles of trial, the culture of origin, and much more. Language assistance is not only that provided in the courtroom during hearings, but also that provided throughout the criminal proceedings, beginning at the moment of arrest. The interpreter ensures the communication and consequently the right to defense of the person concerned. Without the interpreter, the right of defense that we all enjoy is lost. To understand and analyze the role of a legal interpreter, it is necessary to take a step back, focusing on when and why this figure came into being. Communication is the basis of every relationship, whatever its nature. When humans felt this need of communicating centuries and centuries ago, the first forms of communication arose, which at first consisted of verses and gestures, imitating animals, and then later on became languages. When different populations began to come into contact with each other, humans, for the first time, found themselves having to communicate with other humans who did not speak their own language. There was a growing need to reduce distances and differences, and as a consequence of human cultural and linguistic evolution, the ability to interpret from one language to another began to develop. There is much evidence for the existence of interpreters and translators in the ancient Egyptian kingdom, ancient Greece, and the Roman Empire, just as we know for certain that at the time of the discovery of America, Christopher Columbus and his men used intermediaries in order to communicate with native people. But the real birth of modern interpreting is marked by an important event, the Nuremberg trial, where simultaneous interpreting was used for the first time through the use of the Asha From the 1950s to the present, the world of interpreting has evolved a great deal. And, as far as the legal sphere is concerned, on October 20th, 2012, the European Parliament and the Council of the European Union, considering one of the primary objectives of the Union, which is to develop an area of freedom, security and justice, drafted and adopted the Directive 2010/64 EU on the right to interpretation and translation in criminal proceedings. In Italy, there is no certification or accreditation system for interpreters working in court or, for that matter, in the legal field. Similarly, in Italy, there is no register of interpreters and translators. Therefore, in the legal sphere, these professionals flow into the register of experts and technical consultants. Entry is by means of an evaluation of competence in the relevant subjects, and it is therefore necessary to demonstrate knowledge of one or more languages in order to be admitted. This, unfortunately, does not refer to a degree in translation or interpreting. There are 3 Italian cases of great media resonance in which the interpreter has assumed significant prominence because of translation errors that have been made. The Amanda Knox case, the